Welcome to the Impactful Engineer Project. I'm Steve Maxey, and with my co-host and brother Jake, we are here to bring you guidance, fresh ideas, and the tools to help you become an impactful engineer.
Well, hello and welcome to the Impactful Engineer. Today we are going to talk about how to build your teams focusing on strong pairings. And this might be a little different than what you think it's going to be. I hope you enjoy it. Usually we'll do some housekeeping, but I think if you want to hear about who we are, what we do, and who is actually bringing you this podcast, then listen to this episode and then play the next one. I'll skip over the housekeeping today. So today we're going to talk about something that many, at least as far as I can see, many don't realize is at play in their career. So certainly to the level of individual projects and certainly at the team level. When you build your project team, you want people with complementary skill sets placed in the right role. So when you add to your team, the average skill level of the entire team should rise if you want to grow. When you are determining for yourself what your career needs in the short term, you should be considering your complete set of skills currently acquired and who can complement you and your skill set as you move forward. This idea is something Steve has told me is the focus of determining strong pairings. I like that. I like it a lot, and that's why I want to share it with you today. It brought together an idea and gave me a term to assign to it that I feel very strongly about. This is the idea of creating strong pairings, right? And it has helped me a lot in my career. So I think it'll help you guys too. So here we go. How do we do this? How do we create strong pairings? As usual, I'll just share my thoughts as a result of my experiences. So no concept or nicely packaged and trendy advice here. It's just what I've seen with my own eyes that works. When it comes to projects, I'm pretty strong at resource allocation. So like people, engineers, workload planning type stuff. I'm also strong at project scheduling, reasonable deadlines, meeting our design scheduling promises, i.e. delivering on time, etc. Also, I'm very strong with communication. So getting the appropriate information from the people that have it to the people that need it in order to get their job done. It's actually one of my top guiding principles that I will never allow not to happen. Why do I have these strong skills? Well, I focused on these for years. For a long time, this was what I was relied upon to do. Building these skills and becoming great at them was not on purpose. It was due to the fact that these skills were required of me at the time from an early point in my career. I actually missed a lot of the individual contributor time in my career. I have been client-facing and held responsible for project outcomes for most of my career, actually. So that's why I have those strengths, and I've identified them as such, and other people have as well. So due to my lesser experience being a technical individual contributor in engineering design, I have built skills to make that fact a moot point. I have built skills around other areas that make it so that I can pair myself with someone who is strong in those other areas, if that makes sense. So it's not to say that I'm not a strong electrical design engineer. I am absolutely confident in that ability. It's just an area that I need to be aware of that is a weaker part of my game than these other parts. You're not going to be an expert at every part of the job you're in. There's no way that you could be. You have to recognize that. So being weak in an area does not mean you're incompetent in that area. It means you recognize that some others will be better suited to deploy their strength in that area over you. So you are more valuable in the other areas, right? This is why I pair myself with those highly technical, skilled, detail-oriented, and strong engineers in the design production arena. These people can see the design picture for the entire project before they even start. I've met many of these people in my career, and they're very good. They know design trade-offs. They can see the end for the most part. And pairing myself with them makes the project team very strong. So, how about the opposite of that? If I brought on another high-level, big-picture project manager type that was a killer at delegation, operational oversight, we would be inherently creating a huge risk in the project for ourselves. in actually getting the project designed and executed technically. I mean, this is not to say that two people with the same strengths can't do a project as long as the roles are clearly defined and you arrange the skills to line up in a complementary fashion. But if you do stack the same skill in the same team doing the same project, you will be weak in other areas. You'll be moving into the ability to stick to your role. Well, what I want to say here is if you stack a team with multiple overlapping areas of strengths and weaknesses, then another skill set comes into play if you're going to do that. And that becomes trusting each other to stick to your roles and do the things that you need to do to make up for the weaknesses in the role that you have. Sometimes when you stack people that are experts in the same exact thing all together, they're all going to want to do the same thing and you're going to run over each other. That's one of the risks anyway. So, an example. Hopefully I've kind of like painted the picture of, hey, we should probably be looking for people to join our team that are strong in areas that we are not strong in. And hopefully the benefit is pretty visible to everyone at this point. Maybe you've seen it in your own career as well. But as a specific example, in the past I've made some mistakes in this area, and that's why it's on top of my mind and probably a focus. This is from a purely project implementation lens, so let's just think about it from just completing a project as a team. So one of my past projects, we had a technical expert with an insane ability to move fast and know the answers ahead of time. Those were strengths of his. Many years of experience providing complex technical solutions. Another one of this person's strengths was to drive projects forward very quickly, which is useful in a lot of markets. In the AEC industry, in the construction industry for engineers. So this person was also in charge of setting project deadlines. So while setting deadlines is not necessarily a big weakness of this person, it was a weakness that came about for this project due to the skills pairing made for the project. So the person was responsible for moving fast, providing technical direction, answering questions, getting design decisions made with the project team, right? And that was the main lens they saw the project through. And since they individually can produce very quickly, they would make deadlines that were unreasonable for the rest of the team to own up to. So the person was not doing the production. And then that was a big problem when the ability to execute technical design by the person that was actually doing production on the job didn't match the ability of the person setting the deadlines. So there was a strength and weakness kind of mismatch there. This person's ability to correctly schedule project deadlines, right, as I said, in this scenario, was compromised due to that lens, right? So while he knows everything and can do it really fast, deadlines were being decided upon without regard to who is actually going to do the production. So the solution, of course, which is probably obvious to you guys at this point, was to take the responsibility for scheduling deadlines away from the person and give it to the person that was good at doing so for this specific project. We won't get into why the roles were assigned the way they were. That's a complex issue for this project. I just want to make the point that the strength of the person for allocating resources and determining the schedules for the project should have been recognized from the beginning, right? So there was just a little bit of a misaligned project structure with who was handling what based on their strengths and their weaknesses. So once that was solved and aligned correctly, the rest of the project went very smooth. All deadlines were hit and the morale of the team went up, and our client was happy about it as well. So, and that was just a very small example. It's a very simple example with only one pain point, but I think you get it. Look for those strengths and weaknesses in your team when you're building it for a project, and be clear on who's going to do what. It'll help tremendously. And to be clear, strengths and weaknesses are not binary. They can be more prominent in others, in some than others. They can be variable. There's levels of, there are varying degrees at which people are strong or weak at things, right? Of course. So that should also be considered. And that's why you can do different pairings for different projects at different times with the same people, because they are not binary. So everything is a skill and can be taught, even the seemingly immeasurable soft skills. So very hard to measure those in any sort of quantitative way to prove your skill in those. But it's still a skill. Just because it's hard to measure doesn't mean it's not a skill that you can actually track. But at each point in time, there can be different pairings of strengths and weaknesses. It must be evaluated on a team basis, like we talked about. All right, sounds like a lot of work, right? Well, welcome to being a high-achieving engineer that works for a strong company, right? That wants to improve every single year and grow above their competition. That's who we're talking to. That's who we are, if you've made it this far in this podcast. And it's going to be a lot of work, so get to it. All right, so in recap, to build a great team, you need to put people into their strengths and surround them with people whose strengths are their weaknesses at the very simplest form. That's how I can put it. When someone is added or removed from the team, the strengths and weaknesses must be evaluated and strategically infilled as required. So think about, does adding this person to the team raise the average skill of the team? Or does it stack the extremes and make us stronger in the same area that we're already strong at? And does that actually give us a competitive advantage moving forward over infilling some of the weaknesses and getting the average skill of the team to rise? I think you want to be increasing the average skill and not stacking the extremes, but this is just my opinion. This is just what I've seen. I think stacking the extremes will get you into trouble. So if you have someone that is highly technically skilled but has no communication skills on your project, you risk your client being worried about everything the whole time and feeling like they're not taken care of, or that you're missing deadlines, or that you don't have a path to communicate with them and that they don't have a path to communicate back with you. You'll probably end up with something really good design-wise, but it's going to be in a vacuum that either does or does not meet the desires of the client because it couldn't be communicated with. That's an extreme example, of course, but in that scenario, that is not a scenario you want to be in. And on the reverse of that, you don't want someone that communicates really well, establishes great deadlines, and everybody knows what's going on with the project and is very happy with the level of collaboration and decision making, but then you deliver them a design that is a worthless piece of shit because you're not focusing your strengths of technical design and pairing them correctly with the person that knows how to run the project smoothly from a collaboration side. So if you stack those skills, you'll just be fighting with each other, right? So this design that you end up with could cause unnecessary cost overruns, schedule overruns, construction woes. That's not good either. All right. You would think that every design firm ever on the planet would understand this, but what we can do is get into a place where we're not strategically thinking about this enough, and we can make mistakes in the pairing of these skills. So keep it on the top of your mind, all right? If you want to be the best, you're going to be the best at doing this. Everyone is going to be different with what they expect from you, and you should be able to evaluate that and then staff the team appropriately to make that happen. So every client's going to be different, and the best engineers know that, and they address it through strategic team assignment and consideration of weaknesses and strengths of each member.